We are here today to present a memorandum to the Cabinet Secretary of Public Service, Gender and Affirmative Action. This letter is an urgent action to protect women's dignity, safety and leadership in Kenya. As active citizens, we express deep concern over the rising cases of misogyny, harassment, intimidation and public humiliation targeting women and girls in Kenya, particularly women leaders. Sexist remarks, online abuse and degrading conduct by public figures continue to undermine the constitutional values of equality, dignity and inclusive leadership. Women leaders across the political divide have increasingly been subjected to ridicule, character attacks and demeaning commentary that diminishes their leadership and public service. This has been fueled by the deeply patriarchal nature of public leadership in Kenya, but also by irresponsible conduct by some women leaders whose actions have at times undermined the dignity and integrity expected of public office. We are particularly concerned by the recent remarks and conduct attributed to Karen Nyamu, a nominated senator from the UDA party, which raised widespread concern regarding sexualization of a minor. Such conduct is irresponsible, harmful, and inconsistent with the duty of public leaders to uphold the dignity and the protection of children. The response by the Senate has been insufficient given the gravity of the issue. Stronger action is required from all institutions responsible for oversight, ethics, and public accountability. These incidents come at a time when Kenya continues to face rising cases of femicide, gender-based violence, online abuse, and political intimidation against women and girls. Continued silence and inaction by the government agencies, and particularly the Ministry of Gender, the continued silence and the inaction by government agencies risk normalizing impunity. We therefore call upon the Cabinet Secretary for Gender to collaborate with relevant institutions to urgently conduct the following actions. Number one, we expect that the Cabinet Secretary for Gender publicly condemn all sexist, degrading and harmful conduct against women and girls. We expect that they ensure accountability for public officials whose conduct violates constitutional and ethics standards. 3, we are calling upon the Ministry of Gender to adopt and implement the Law Society of Kenya's sexual harassment and anti-bullying policy across all public institutions. 4, we expect that the Cabinet Secretary of Gender spearheads the development and implementation of sexual harassment and anti-bullying policies for all 47 county assemblies, the National Assembly and the Senate within 30 working days from the receipt of this letter. Number 5, we also expect that the Cabinet Secretary of Gender collaborates with the Victim Protection Board to establish safeguarding policies for all public institutions. And finally, and this is the most important one as at now, we are expecting that through the Office of the Cabinet Secretary of Gender, for this government to demonstrate renewed commitment to equality, dignity and inclusion for all Kenyans. We expect that they issue via publication a public apology from William Ruto for the continued failure to adequately protect the safety, dignity and rights of women and children in Kenya. Kenya cannot build a just and democratic society while women and girls continue to face humiliation, intimidation and exclusion from public life. We must collectively reject the misogyny and defend the dignity, safety and leadership of women across this nation. All of these things are happening in the background of all the international guests who are here. We have the Africa Forward Summit that is being attended by the Secretary General, Antonio Guterres of the United Nations. It is important that the country notes that the United Nations adopted the International Bills of Rights by the United Nations. In 1979, the Convention of the International Bills of Rights of Women was adopted by the United Nations to ensure that women and girls are protected. We have tried to talk to our president about protecting and safeguarding the rights of women and the dignity of the offices that women hold. And he's not listening. So we are calling upon the Secretary General of United Nations, Antonio, because you're in the country and you're sitting down with our president. We would like for you to tell him to respect the UN Convention on the Rights of Women, to safeguard women of this country. And as you go to launch the 340 million UN facility project, it is important that the world knows that in Kenya, women and girls are suffering a lot of harassment, sexual harassment, physical harassment and violence. And as the Secretary General of the UN is here to launch a $340 million facility in Nairobi for the United Nations, we want the United Nations to know that that 340 million is going to be worthless if you are building an institution, a public facility that will continue to violate the international convention that you yourself as the UN adopted in 1979. So therefore, we hope that in that 340 million, there is a budget that has been set aside